Hi guys, it's Hannah. Hope you're healthy and well. Welcome back to Weeknight Wonders. Today I'll be showing you a recipe for Beefy Mac rice cakes. I'm basically pairing one of my favorite nostalgic foods from childhood, Hamburger Helper or similar boxed kind of pre-made item, and combining them with Korean rice cakes, which cook up really in no time. So let's get started. We're going to cook off the ground meat first. Just a tablespoon or so of neutral oil. And you want to hear that sound. And I outlined that a 80-20 blend is best because of the flavor and fat content. Some pepper. Then we're just gonna spread it out in your pan. So don't touch your meat too much. We're just going to cook it until most of the pink has disappeared, so about maybe 4 to 5 minutes. So I would like to just talk a little bit about the star of today's recipe. These are rice cakes called duck or karetak in Korean. They come in a cylindrical form. They also come in like long ropes, which then get cut into kind of a sharp diagonal. You might have seen those in some like Chinese dishes or Korean New Year's soup called tteokguk. It's made with rice flour and water, so it could be a good gluten-free option for those who need to watch for that in their diets. They are sold usually either in the freezer section or like a shelf-stable section, and they really last for a long time. Once you open them, I'd recommend you put the balance of whatever you don't use up in the freezer and use them as you would pasta. So today you'll see just how versatile these are. Oh yeah, it's nice to get these little charred bits. I'm just crumbling up the ground beef here, just so it's all in manageable pieces. Okay, so this is cooked. So once you see that the pink has disappeared and the meat has cooked, you can add your aromatics like the garlic and onion. And we're just going to cook these until they get translucent, so another couple of minutes. I like to crumble the beef just so that it kind of roughly matches the size of the onions. The meat is cooked and the onions are translucent, so we're gonna go ahead and add our spices. Smells so good. Yeah, I mean, it's ground beef and onions, so it's a good start, right? To so many different great meals. Okay, honestly, shout out to this little guy. I love this tool so much. Also available at food52.com. To the tomato paste, we're going to add chili, paprika. You can use sweet or smoked. Today we're using sweet, and a pinch of red chili flakes, or more than a pinch if you like things really spicy. The reason why we lower the heat just a bit is because tomato paste has a tendency to burn if you're not careful. So just turning it down to medium should help prevent that. This is milk, a cup of each milk and water. Oh, look at this color. Anything this color is bound to be good, right? Just make sure to scrape down the bottom of your pan, all those great juices from the ground beef. You want to lift it up. Let's get some Worcestershire. This is what will give the dish a really nice deep flavor, just about a teaspoon. Give it all a mix. We're ready to add our rice cakes in. So I just want you guys to see these are pretty flexible. They're ready to go in as is. If you're taking them out from the freezer, we would have covered them in some cold water and let them just hang out in that water bath for like 10 to 15 minutes while we are getting the meat cooking. So I would suggest if you have them in water, drain them at this point and then you can add them in. Try to make sure they're separated from one another. They like to stick to each other sometimes. Just tuck them under the surface. They don't have to be completely submerged, but you do just want to make sure that they're coated, and then you can cook them without a lid for about 4 to 5 minutes. And again, if your rice cakes are a little bit on the firm side, you might need a couple more minutes, but I would err on the side of cooking them for a shorter time because they do kind of soften and expand as more time passes. This dish requires very little babysitting, but if you remember to, I would just recommend giving it a stir every once in a while just to make sure that the rice cakes don't stick to the bottom of the pan. About 4 to 5 minutes have passed. This looks ready. Before you add the cheese, turn off the heat, and just know that this will also continue to thicken after you add the cheese. So don't be surprised if it kind of seizes up a bit. So I prefer extra sharp white cheddar cheese, truly for aesthetics, but you choose the cheese that you like. If you like Monterey Jack or any type of other cheese, that would work great here. So we're off heat. We're just gonna stir until the cheese is melted through. I used to love making hamburger helper. When I was a teenager, it was probably one of the first things I learned how to make on my own. It kind of gave me a window into what mainstream America was cooking and eating at home. So I felt like with this recipe, it's a little bit of a backpedal and introducing a little bit of Korean ingredients to a dish that I associated so fondly with American cuisine. Depending on the cheese, it can vary in salt levels, so just give it a taste before you add your finishing salt and pepper to taste. Wow, this really tastes like childhood. I'm just gonna add a little bit, and then always a little pepper. And honestly, if you were at my house, I would just put a big coaster down and bring this to the table. But again, you do what's best for you and your family. It's so glossy. It's very hot, so be careful. Other ways you can use Korean rice cakes, because you'll probably have the better part of a bag in your freezer. You can add a few to your even instant ramen, or grill them up, maybe cover them with some honey and nuts for an easy breakfast, or you can air fry them as well as like a quick snack. Just experiment in the kitchen. Let me know if you end up making this. You can find the full recipe on food52.com. Remember to tag us if you do make it, and I'll see you in the next one.